Have you ever been engrossed in a film because of the leading actor's performance, only to learn that he or she experienced unfathomable suffering in real life? A Hollywood icon whose off-screen difficulties are both heartbreaking and motivating, here is Val Kilmer's tale. The life of a man who persevered in the face of insurmountable adversity and maintained an unwavering dedication to his art awaits you. In the dazzling realm of Hollywood, where fantasies become reality and stars radiate, there are a select few whose tales are so profoundly compelling that they permanently imprint our hearts. Someone who embodies all three qualities, talent, charm, and an unwavering spirit, is Val Kilmer. But underneath all the glitz and beauty, there is a story of unfathomable hardships and tragic tragedies that will make you wonder how strong the human spirit can be. From his humble beginnings as an aspiring actor with a dream, to his meteoric climb to fame and the terrible struggles he endured, the story of Val Kilmer will touch your heart and remind you of the extraordinary strength we all possess. But before we go into the meat of the matter, let's start at the beginning and trace its origins. Los Angeles, California is the site of Val Kilmer's birth on December 31st, 1959. Gladys and Eugene Kilmer, his parents, were both active in the real estate industry. Mark and Wesley, Val's siblings, were his playmates as children. Val was very quiet and reserved when he was a little child. He sought refuge in his own ideas and contemplation, hence he frequently avoided others. Nevertheless, his whole world will soon be turned upside down by a monumental occurrence. His parents made the tough choice to divorce when Val was only 8 years old. Young Val was deeply affected by this event, and he found it difficult to adjust to being apart. Even though Val and his siblings ended up moving live with their dad, he had a hard time developing an emotional bond with him. In retrospect, Val said, "I became more quiet, more introspective than outgoing, and my relationship with my father was strained for a long time." Curiously, it was at this difficult time in Val's life that he had the epiphany about his love for acting. Val enrolled in theater courses as a means of self-expression and a means of escaping the challenges he faced at home. He had no idea that this sudden fascination would influence his whole life and work trajectory. When Val first started out in the acting industry, she had her fair share of challenges. He got his big break in a hamburger ad when he was only 12 years old. But even at that early age, Val, the committed actor that he was, couldn't fake enjoying the burgers. Taking a daring step away from the set, he showed his dedication to being himself on stage. Unfortunately, another crushing blow would be dealt to Val's family when he was just 16 years old. Unfortunately, Wesley's epileptic seizure-related difficulties led to his death. He was Val's closest friend and an aspiring filmmaker. Val expressed his profound sorrow at Wesley's passing, saying, "It took me about 2 or 3 years after my brother's death to really find my way back to reality." Val mustered up the will to keep performing, even though he was in excruciating agony and sadness. His acceptance into New York City's renowned Juilliard School was a major accomplishment. This chance meeting was the first step on Val's path to stardom as an actor, but as we'll see in a little, he had a lot of obstacles and victories on his road to greatness. Val Kilmer's early years were characterized by major upheavals and personal hardships, as we learn more about his life story. Val had to overcome challenging emotions and establish his own path in life after going through the upheaval of his parents' divorce and the devastating death of his adored sibling. But his unfaltering love for acting was the beacon that shone through the darkness and carried him on his incredible journey. All right, we've covered Val Kilmer's childhood and how he found acting to be his passion. What follows is the interesting part, his rise to Hollywood stardom. When Val graduated from Juilliard, he immediately began to make a name for himself in show business. The 1984 comedy Top Secret was one of several famous productions in which he won a part, and Real Genius, a science fiction film from 1985. I'm not the first guy who fell in love with a girl he met in the restaurant, who then turned out to be the daughter of a kidnapped scientist, only to lose her to her childhood lover, who she'd last seen on a deserted island, and who turned out 15 years later to be the leader of the French underground. but it was his performance as Iceman in the 1986 action film Top Gun that made him famous. The role of Maverick, Tom Cruise's character, was played by Val, who established himself as a leading man with his brash and aggressive performance. That's because every time you go up in the air, you're unsafe. I don't like you because you're dangerous. That's right. The problem with Val, however, was that he was never satisfied with his role as an actor. He really loved performing and always wanted to make an impression as an artist. Val often used method acting methods to really inhabit his parts, which contributed to his reputation as an actor who was deeply committed to his profession. The Doors, a biopic of Jim Morrison that Val starred in 1991, is a great illustration of his dedication to acting. Val emotionally and physically embodied the legendary rock musician to a really high degree. To fully portray the multifaceted and damaged artist, he immersed himself in Morrison's voice style, mannerisms, and poems. The Doors was a critical success, and Val's performance in it solidified his image as an accomplished and adaptable actor. His rigorous preparation had paid off. First they invented sex, they called it one. But there were moments when Val had to sacrifice something for his unfaltering commitment to his art. Directors and co-stars would sometimes find themselves at odds with his aggressive acting style. In 1996, while shooting The Island of Dr. Moreau, a significant incident happened. The working relationship between Val and director John Frankenheimer was allegedly tense due to creative disagreements. "I want nothing to do with Val Kilmer. I despise his work ethic. And the last thing I want is to be linked to him in any way," Frankenheimer said afterwards. It turns out this wasn't an exception, however. Val was known to be a pain to collaborate with by the mid-1990s. It was revealed in an Entertainment Weekly piece called "Val Kilmer Makes Enemies in Hollywood" that working with him was difficult for some directors and co-stars. Val's love and commitment to his profession shone through in his performances, which are known for their intensity and determination. Val said in his own words, "I have behaved poorly at times. I have behaved bravely, bizarrely to some. I am a sensitive, intelligent human being with the soul of a clown." Even if there were a few scandals involving his actions on set, Val kept delivering outstanding performances in a variety of flicks. Val demonstrated his flexibility and talent for bringing complicated characters to life on film in his roles as Doc Holliday in Tombstone and Bruce Wayne Batman in Batman Forever. Looking back on Val Kilmer's climb to fame, we can see that he had a tough road ahead of him. Despite his meteoric rise to fame, his rigorous commitment to acting sometimes caused friction in his working relationships. However, the impact that Val has had on the film industry is immense. He is now widely considered one of the most revered performers in Hollywood because of the unforgettable impressions he made on audiences with his performances. After delving into Val Kilmer's ascent to stardom, let's examine the emotional struggles and financial setbacks he had on his journey. The highly publicized divorce that Val went through with actress Joanne Whaley in 1996 was one of the most dramatic events in his private life. After meeting on the set of the 1988 fantasy film Willow, the pair went on to have a happy 8-year marriage and 2 children, Jack and Mercedes. Allegations of adultery on the part of Val involving supermodel Cindy Crawford fueled the storm that was the divorce proceedings. Financially and emotionally, Val felt the effects of the divorce. Being a high-profile star meant he had to cope with the public eye while he navigated the challenges of co-parenting. After his divorce, Val's rumored relationships with other celebrities, such as Daryl Hannah, kept him in the public eye. But the friendship between him and Daryl Hannah was the one that hurt Val the most. He remarked frankly in his biography, "Lord knows I've suffered heartache, but Daryl was by far the most painful of all." Val was distraught and still is dealing with the emotional consequences of their relationship's breakup. Val had problems with his physical appearance in addition to his emotional troubles. Val, who had a reputation for having a toned body and sharp features, started putting on weight in the middle of the 2000s. Val Kilmer goes from Batman to Fat Man, and similar tabloid headlines appeared in newspapers as soon as the media took notice of his new look. The increasing demands on Val's mental and physical health were exacerbated by the constant criticism and shame he endured. When Val was forced to sell a substantial piece of his beloved ranch in New Mexico in 2008, it was one of the worst blows to his psychological and financial well-being. As a refuge from the glitter of Hollywood, Val bought the expansive 6,000-acre estate in 1996. However, in 2011, he sold a large chunk of the ranch for far less than he had bargained for because of financial difficulties. Val was hit hard emotionally and financially when his beloved refuge was taken away. Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and Bad Lieutenant Port of Call. New Orleans were just two of Val's many cinematic appearances during this time in her career. It's like about 5 tons of separation, yeah, that's so the schmuck doesn't take the gun back and make me eat it. Secretly, however, he was battling a lifelong despair. The artist said in an interview, "I've never not had a broken heart. I've been depressed my whole life." The constant scrutiny and strain that superstars like Val Kilmer endure is something that must be acknowledged. A person's mental health and well-being may be severely compromised by the continual scrutiny from the media, the pressures of the profession, and the difficulties of keeping a private life out of the limelight. Looking back on Val's financial problems and personal battles during this time in his life, it's obvious that being famous and successful doesn't protect one from the same problems and difficulties that everyone faces. Every person, no matter how famous or successful, has difficulties in life. Val's tale is a good reminder of that. The hardest struggle of Val's life, one that would challenge his faith, fortitude, and desire to live, was yet ahead of him. But he had no idea. The most tragic aspect of Val Kilmer's story, his heroic fight against throat cancer, has finally come, everyone. Get ready for a voyage that will test your faith like no other, and it will need incredible bravery and endurance. This whole thing started in 2014, when Val's one-man play Citizen Twain was touring. Worrying signs such as trouble swallowing and coughing up blood began to manifest in his body. Using his Christian Science beliefs, which prioritize prayer and spiritual healing above traditional medical treatment, Val first attempted to minimize the seriousness of his ailment. Mercedes and Jack, Val's children, understood the seriousness of the issue and begged their father to get medical help. As Val so movingly put it in his book, "I didn't want to frighten my children by confronting my own mortality." But his family's love and worry forced Val to have a biopsy, and the results were devastating. He had throat cancer. Val was struck by lightning speed by the news. Having the tumor surgically removed right away, followed by painful chemotherapy and radiation treatments, was a terrifying idea. Despite the danger and unpredictability of the path ahead, Val mustered the courage to confront the challenge directly. The method of therapy was really harsh. During his intensive treatment, Val felt his throat being zapped and left bone dry. He had to use a feeding tube and a tracheostomy tube to help him breathe. Unfortunately, Val's voice, that distinctive full-bodied baritone that had distinguished many unforgettable roles, was irreparably damaged during the operation, which was the most tragic outcome. The loss of an actor's voice was devastating, since it was his instrument and means of subsistence. Writing in his biography, Val spoke frankly about how speaking, once my joy and lifeblood, has become an hourly struggle. The instrument over which I had complete mastery is now out of my control. The mental and emotional toll of this loss is immense. Val nevertheless showed incredible strength and optimism in the face of such tragedy. He sought comfort and strength in his religious convictions, and he depended on them. During his lowest points, Val also relied on the love and support of his family. During an Ask Me Anything on Reddit, Val poignantly expressed his thanks by saying, "I am deeply thankful for all the prayers and positive energy sent my way from around the world." The long road to rehabilitation started for Val slowly but gradually. He learned to speak with his new voice after undergoing extensive speech treatment. A lovely turn of events occurred in 2021 when Val's son Jack volunteered to narrate the documentary Val, which chronicles his father's life. "I was the first guy I knew to own a video camera. Here we are filming ourselves. Is that a video?" Thanks to this heartfelt partnership, Val's tale could be recounted by his cherished kid. The whole Kilmer family put their hearts into making the documentary. Mercedes, Val's daughter, was instrumental in sorting through the extensive film library that her father had amassed over the course of his life and work. A guy who had overcome unfathomable odds and come out stronger and more grateful for life was shown in this candid personal photograph. A watershed moment in Val's life came during his fight with cancer. As a result, he had to face his own death head-on, strengthen his spiritual bond, and value every minute spent with his loved ones. As Val so eloquently put it in his biography, "Cancer changes you. It will always be a part of my life, but it doesn't define my life." Recalling Val Kilmer's valiant fight against cancer brings to mind the strength of the human will and the transformative potential of unconditional love, unwavering faith, and unending determination. The tale of Val shows that no matter how bad things become, we all have the power to get through. The way someone overcomes adversity is simply one part of their legacy. The other is the impression they make on the world and the people they influence. What a remarkable adventure it has been delving into Val Kilmer's life and work. The life of Val is an inspiring tale of perseverance through adversity. From his early years as an introverted child dealing with his parents' divorce to his incredible climb to Hollywood fame. Everything about Val's journey has been rough, as we have witnessed. Tragically, his brother Wesley passed away, and he also went through a divorce. As a public person, he has had to deal with a lot of strain and attention, which has caused him to have conflicts with directors and co-stars on occasion. Of course, he has battled throat cancer, which altered his voice and his view of what is important in life. Still, Val is a formidable fighter and a phenomenal talent. One of the most revered performers of his day, he devoted himself fully to his work and gave his all to every part he played. The movie world will never forget Val for his memorable performances as Doc Holliday in Tombstone and Jim Morrison in The Doors. Val has been working on own projects in recent years. In 2022's Top Gun: Maverick, the much-anticipated sequel, he played Iceman once again. A tribute to his lasting brilliance and passion for his art, Val's presence on film remains as engaging as ever, despite the limitations created by his changed voice. However, Val has found comfort and expression in his art outside of his career as an actor. His colorful pop art creations capture his one-of-a-kind take on love, life, and humanity. Val has discovered a new outlet for expressing himself via his work. He can now show the world a little bit of who he is. What matters most to Val is that he values his time with his family. He talks in his memoirs about the profound and unbreakable love he enjoys with his children, Jack and Mercedes, as well as the thrill of being a grandpa. "I've been given the gift of a closer relationship with my daughter Mercedes and my son Jack, as well as my mom, now that I can speak more easily," says he. Looking back on Val Kilmer's incredible life, it's evident that there is still so much more to come. Val persists in facing life's challenges with poise, humor, and an unbreakable will, despite the hardships he has endured. He is the epitome of a survivor, a guy who has weathered the storm and come out the other side more resilient, wise, and grateful for life's great blessings. According to Val, "I have a strong belief in an afterlife. I've had experiences of an otherworldly nature. I've seen the other side, and I think it's a wonderful place. That's not to dismiss this world, because there are all kinds of amazing, thrilling opportunities and experiences to be had here. Life is precious on both sides of the veil, both in this world and the next." Those remarks capture Val Kilmer, a guy who has experienced life to the fullest, beautifully. Finally, as we near the conclusion of this in-depth examination of Val Kilmer's life and legacy, it is hard to not but be struck by the immense magnitude and influence of his work. Instead of being told from the perspective of an actor or Hollywood celebrity, Val's narrative is told from the perspective of a human person who, with dignity, bravery, and an unwavering will, overcame immense adversity. The world will never be the same because of Val, his art, his hardships, and his victories. Through his life, he has taught us the value of perseverance, the significance of being authentic, and the life-altering power of faith and love. His story shows that there is hope and a cause to keep going even when things seem hopeless. Let us remember Val's narrative in our hearts as we go on. We must always keep in mind the wisdom he imparted on the value of life, the resilience of the human soul, and the need of savoring the time spent with our loved ones. The lives they affect and the love they leave behind are what really matter when considering a person's legacy, rather than the celebrity or honors they may have received. Val Kilmer, we are grateful that you shared your story with us. Inspiring and uplifting generations to come, your narrative will serve as a constant reminder of the remarkable strength and perseverance found in the human spirit. So, there concludes today's post. We pray that the tale of Val Kilmer has moved you as much as it did us. Like this video and subscribe to our channel for more motivational stuff if you've liked this in-depth look at the life of an authentic Hollywood star. Until we meet again, live in the now and hold on to your goals.